so let me start. I'm Susanne. I'm from HR, and I'm super happy that we did bring to life at SAP a new model of how we can share leadership. And oh, I hear quite a bit of background noise right now. Someone is traveling, apparently. Thank you. So we want to create much more flexibility of how leadership can be done in a new style. And we do have examples at SAP who really can share with us how this is working in an ongoing mode. And I'm very happy that we now have Sandra to ask some questions. So Sandra, please tell me what's your current role, what's your current mission, and how did it come to play for your current leadership, co-leadership style work?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Susanne. Well, maybe in ways of introduction, my name is Sandra Maus. I am heading the so-called customer advisory team for manufacturing and automotive at SAP Germany. And as Susanne has just pointed out, I'm not doing that by myself, but in a co-leadership model together with my colleague, Matthias, who's on vacation. Otherwise, I would have asked him to join us here today. How did this actually come into play? Well, both Matthias and I, we were part of the team for a couple of years before, there was a management change, as often happens. And the question was open, like, okay, who's going to take over and who's going to apply for the job? And well, sort of, Matthias and I, we were both I would say, the candidates that people also expected to apply because, we had been in the role for quite a while. We knew the team. People probably somehow thought we could do it. So the question was out, who is actually going to apply? And in terms of what this job is about, it was, for me, let's just talk about me, but I know that for my colleague, it's actually very similar. For me, it was all that I had asked for and that I would wish for the next step in my career and that I would want to do. Because I know the team, I love the team, I'm working with great people. I love also the customers that we are working with and the topics that we are working with. So to me, that is all that I'd ever wanted. But there's the but, and that's maybe something that quite a couple of you can relate to. I also have 2 small children. I'm not living next to our headquarters, but it means that I need to do quite a lot of traveling. And I understood that taking this job as a manager would require me to not give 100%, but rather 120 or 130%, to really do it the way that I myself would want it to be done. And I have to admit that I was unsure of whether that would work. Also, I already mentioned I love my job, and I wasn't really ready to give it up. That was the second thing. So I wasn't really ready to give up working with our customers. I'm actually working as a so-called value engineer. So our job is to discuss with customers, okay, what are the benefits that you can expect, and to build business cases with customers, and etc. And I love that very much. But I really wasn't, and I didn't want to give it up. And I wasn't sure if I really could give the 120% that I should if I was moving into this management role. And then, best ideas are born late in the evening in a bar, and that was exactly what happened. So at some point, Matthias and I were, together with one of our colleagues, in late in the evening in a bar, and the question came up, like, okay, so are you going to apply or not? And we kind of both told the same story. So we both said, yeah, we would want to. This is such an exciting position and we would want to do it, but we would like to keep the job that we're doing right now. And we both have family and we're not sure that we are able, just time-wise, capacity-wise, to offer the amount of time that it would require. And somehow, at one point, the idea was just out there. I said, well, if we both tell the same story, why don't we do it together? And that was before we even knew that there was an official co-leadership initiative and program at SAP, because it was really early days at that point. And it actually has grown quite a lot since that time. So back then we were sort of the first co-leadership couple in sales. We were, I think, among the first 3 or 4 in SAP Germany, and it was something very new. And well, we loved the idea. We found out that it is an official program that SAP offers and supports. Still, with the people that made the decision, it took quite a bit of convincing. But since we were so sure that we wanted to do it, and we developed our concept and how we wanted to work together, we applied, we got the job, and now we're leading the team together. And I have to say, I'm a big fan and totally love it.
And Sandra, for the colleague, it's a man, and he wanted to really do the same because he wanted to have more time for his family as well, right?
Yes, exactly. That's also something that we learned over time. Every co-leadership couple within SAP is different. Every couple has their own story and their own model. And I think that's the beauty of the concept, that actually every person, every individual has the chance to form it in the way that fits best. So, you know, there are the classic cases where you have 2 women who sometimes come back from parental leave or something like that. Probably also a situation that quite a few people here can relate to. And they just say, well, I have small children now, I can't do 100%, so I'd like to work 50%. You have 2 people just sharing the job. That's one model, and it exists, and it works really well. For us, it was a bit different because my kids, they were, I think, 4 and 6 age, 4 and 6 years at the time when we applied. And my colleague, he had 1 kid, but they were planning a second. And he said, well, if we are planning a second kid and I want to take some time off, and I know that is going to happen very soon, if now I apply for a management job, would I even be able to go on parental leave for a couple of months? For him, that was actually his concern, that he could not apply for the job knowing that he would like to take some time off. But since we're doing it together, that wasn't a problem, because by now exactly that has happened. He's had his second kid, and he's been gone for 2 or 3 months, and it wasn't a problem because we, as a co-leadership team, I could actually take over, and for that time I just, you know, took over his part as well, and that worked pretty well. How we're doing this, I was mentioning that I wouldn't want to give up my own job. Our model means that I or we both do the management job in 50% of our time, and the rest of our time we are now operative jobs that we used to do before. When I was taking over his part during his parental leave, I was just able to scale that part down and scale up the management role and flip back again. So you realize it's a very, very flexible model. I love that about it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I think we have 2 more minutes. So one short question, Sandra. What is the secret of success? Very quickly, you know, why can it work? And the second question is, can you imagine this would also work from someone externally who joins SAP?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the key to success is communication. Communication in every direction. So first and foremost, between the 2 of us, we speak all the time. And that is really important because we are leading the same team. That's very important. We speak all the time, and pretty much well, I know exactly what Nectarius is doing, and he knows what I'm doing, and that's very important. Also, with regards to our stakeholders, so the management, our colleagues, other teams, etc. So our whole business environment, but also and especially to the team. That is also very, very important to make it very clear to them, to sort of make sure we don't add complexity. And that works by really explaining in detail who's in charge of what, who is your contact for what topic. So that is really important. And based on that, it's also between the couple, or Nectarius and I, we actually need to be very close in terms of how we make decisions. And if one of us makes a decision, it has to be valid for the other. That's really important. For someone joining from outside of SAP, I would say yes, definitely it would work, because the challenges are actually the same that you would have when you enter into a management position from outside of SAP, and you do it, you know, like the regular way, just a manager to one team. You need to get to know the people. You would need to get to know the team, especially the tasks, the environment, you know, the customs and everything. That is the same when you're doing it in the co-leadership model, but you have someone to share the burden with. And that is something that I also I think is a great benefit. The co-leadership part is not more complicated when you're coming from outside. Of course, for us, it was easier because we knew each other before. But there are also couples, and and it's also there, it's working really well, that have not known each other before, and they just got to know each other on the job. So the model is working. That would be the same situation when someone was joining from outside of us. So I'm not saying it's like an easy ride, because coming from outside, getting to know all the people never is, but it's not more difficult when you're entering into a leadership model.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we're on time. Thank you very much, Sandra. And I would just like to add, whoever is on this call in an HR function, I'm happy to, you know, share some experiences from an HR perspective, if that is of interest to you, to launch this in your company as well.